Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 15 of season 15 of Be With Me. We're in the book of Colossians, and I'm going to title today, Marriage is Beautiful, or I might change that, and I might say that marriage might be beautiful, because the thing that's going to be presented before us for husbands and wives, if you get this wrong, your marriage won't be beautiful. So just two verses today, and there's plenty in here. This is from Colossians chapter 3, verses 18 and 19. Wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord, period. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them, period. Now, this is all that this is saying here. We're going to go on to children and fathers and workers, and there's a parallel passage in Ephesians 5 that I would refer you to. But basically the point is that everybody is submitting. Christians, children, workers, everybody has to submit, and submission is a beautiful thing because it demonstrates this imperishable and internal adornment, this posture that is before God, and it is demonstrated in words and attitudes and behaviors to a real person. And submitters are the most beautiful people in the world. They are precious. They're valued by God. And so what is submission? Let's just define that. Submission is the voluntary, relational attachment of myself under a designated person and under God. And the purpose is that submission is to show in relational practice what is true in spiritual reality. So that's how it can be this beautiful thing. Now, here's the rub about submission. And submission will never work unless it's done in view of God. So if you just do the first part of this sentence, wives, submit to your husbands. Well, the problem with that is that husbands are imperfect. And if you don't add that you're treating this imperfect person in the context of how you view God, then it will always turn out poorly. So the submission has two parts. It's to God and it's to a person. And if there's something wrong with one of those relationships, it's going to affect and manifest itself in the relationship with the other one. So it's the area where the rubber meets the road. And everybody asks, and in this case, wives, because this particular one's directed at wives, is God trustworthy with this doctrine? And I think he is. And I think if we obey this, we're going to find that submission is indeed a beautiful thing. So submission is done as fitting, as you belong to him, as you belong to the Lord. So the order that is emphasized in this particular passage of submission, go to Ephesians 5. There's another one in Peter. The one that is emphasized here is order, and the order that is emphasized is the order, the rule of the heart. That's the context of the passage that came before this. So the Christ peace, may it rule in our hearts, and here the Christ peace is being demonstrated in the order of marriage. Okay, so that's kind of from the wives' side. Wives, submit to your husband as is fitting to the Lord. And then here, husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. So husbands is given a relational position of headship. There's a role, and here's the part you don't want to hear, is there's going to be an accountability for it. So if you go to Ephesians 5:25, you're going to hear similarly, husbands, love your wives. But the part that they add here is Christ loved the church, which is just overwhelming. And the responsibilities for the husband, you're supposed to be patient. You're supposed to have a planned love for her. These are all things that Christ did for the church. It's accountable and responsible, long-suffering. This is something the husband would never say, because Christ would never say it. It's like, it wasn't working out for me, so I ditched her. No, the Christ's love for the church is long-suffering. He gave himself up for her. And like Christ, it's going to be costly for us. So for Christ, it was bloody and suffering and hard, and there is a component to that. So it's certainly husbands should be ready to give. Don't abdicate your role. Take responsibility as Christ did, and then present her. So there's this accountability, a spiritual component of thinking of her holiness and her spiritual goals. All right, so specifically here, husbands, don't be harsh with them. So think of a relationship in long term. And is this something that you want to, bash about? Proverbs 15:1, this is a great marriage thing. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. A soft answer. This would be fantastic marriage advice, is a soft answer. Return something that riles you up with a soft answer. Certainly don't send nuclear bombs or even tactical nuclear bombs or even conventional bombs. How about a soft answer when there's, a chance to practice this? That's the beauty of this, is you're going to have a chance to practice this today. So the word means this harsh answer is a sharp, provoking, grievous, and embittering. So rather than sharp, how about soft? Rather than provoking, how about patient? Rather than grieving, how about gentle? Rather than embittering, how about embracing her in an attitude and a posture of love? So if you're married, oh my goodness, you will have a chance to practice one of these things, either from the husband side or the wife side today. If you're not married, pray for the married people. They got a big job. Marriage is a beautiful thing, or it can be a beautiful thing, or it might be a beautiful thing. It certainly has the chance to be a beautiful thing if we look to Christ and we act like he asks us to in that relationship with our spouse. Thanks for listening.